December 4th, 1996. A violent flash of light rips through the Florida night sky as a Cape Canaveral rocket blasts into space. Inside that roaring pillar of fire is NASA's Mars Pathfinder. Its mission? A grueling 7-month voyage across 300 million miles of frozen dead space. To do what many experts thought was flat out impossible. To land a robotic rover on the surface of another world. Fast forward to July 4th, 1997. The spacecraft slams into the Martian atmosphere at 14,000 miles an hour. Against all mathematical odds, the bouncing airbags deflate, the solar panels unfold, and history is made. Back at mission control, engineers are cheering, crying, and hugging each other. They pulled off a miracle. They just landed a rover on Mars flawlessly. But then, just a few days into the mission, something completely unexplainable happens. Without a warning, the spacecraft's communication system completely freezes. The data streams flatline. Everything looks normal from the outside. But inside, the lander's computers are trapped in a vicious loop. A hard reset, another crash, another hard reset. Engineers back on Earth are in absolute panic. They aren't dealing with a cracked solar panel or broken wire. They are fighting an invisible digital ghost trapped inside the ship's brain. Hundreds of millions of miles away, where no human hand can ever reach. And if they can't hunt the ghost down immediately, the entire mission is dead. So, what actually went wrong on Mars? To understand this invisible ghost in the machine, we have to look deeper into the rover's operating system. Unlike your home computer, which tries to juggle 50 apps at once, the Pathfinder used a strict military-grade setup, where the timing was literally the matter of life or death. Tasks were strictly ranked. High-priority tasks like aiming the antenna at Earth had to run instantly. Low-priority tasks like checking the Martian weather had to wait for their turn at the back of the line. Simple, right? Except this strict ranking triggered a devastating chain reaction known as priority inversion. Here's how the trap was set. First, a low priority task enters the scene. The weather station. It gathers some temperature data and needs to write it down on a digital clipboard. To make sure no other program accidentally scribbles over its work, the weather task puts a heavy padlock onto that clipboard. In software, we call this padlock mutex, mutual exclusion lock. For now, the low priority weather task holds the only key to that padlock. But then, the high priority communication system wakes up. It urgently needs to use that exact same clipboard to beam data back to home, to NASA. It rushes over but sees a big padlock onto it. Now, logically, you'd assume high priority task always wins. It outranks everything, right? It really shouldn't care about the padlock. But here's the trap. The mutex operates in total isolation from the CPU's priority rules. It doesn't care who is more important. Because it's a lock on a shared storage, not the processor. It strictly honors who gets there first. If the petty weather data snaps that key up, the system freezes. The high priority or any task is instantly blocked, forced to stand outside in the cold until a background chore decides it's finished. So now that the most important system on the spacecraft is patiently waiting, a completely unrelated medium priority task wakes up to do some routine background work. The CPU checks its rulebooks. Medium priority outranks low priority. So it ruthlessly kicks the low priority weather task out of the way to let the medium task occupy the CPU. And right there, the trap snaps shut. Think about the brilliant inverted nightmare NASA has just accidentally created. The low priority task is frozen mid sentence, still holding the key to the padlock. The medium priority task is happily running away, hogging the computer's brain. And the critical communication system is paralyzed in the corner, endlessly waiting for the key that can now never be released. A routine background show just accidentally checkmated a multi-million-dollar spacecraft. Back on Earth, NASA's screen goes totally blank. The rover's watchdog timer realizes the main communication system hasn't blinked in way too long. The system panics, assuming the computer just suffered catastrophic hardware damage from cosmic radiation. It triggered a hard nuclear reset. The short-term memory is wiped clean. The spacecraft forcibly reboots, and the flagship mission is left spinning blindly in the Martian dust. The Pathfinder was stuck in a reboot loop, 150 million miles away. Back at JPL, engineers scramble. They manage to pull a diagnostic log from the rover before it crashes again, and they spot an invisible killer: priority inversion. They know exactly what the bug is. The terrifying part was figuring out how to fix it on a live spacecraft sitting on another planet. Fortunately, the engineers who built the VxWorks operating system had hidden a brilliant failsafe deep inside the code, a concept called priority inheritance. Here's how it works. Let's go back to our clipboard. The low priority weather task puts its padlock on that clipboard. The high priority communication task wakes up, needs the clipboard, and gets blocked. But this time, the priority inheritance is turned on. The system does a clever trick. The OS looks at the low priority weather task and says, "Hey, you're holding the most important system on the ship," and temporarily hands the weather task a VIP badge, promoting it to a higher priority status. Now, when the medium priority background show wakes up and tries to bully its way in, the computer checks the ranking. The weather task is now wearing a high priority badge. The medium task is denied. It has to sit down and wait. The weather task safely finishes writing its data, removes the padlock, and hands the VIP badge back. The ultra-critical communication system instantly grabs the clipboard, beams the data back to Earth, and disaster is averted. The solution was elegant, but NASA still had to deploy it. They couldn't just plug in a USB drive. Instead, they beamed a tiny string of C code across the millions of miles of empty space. The signal hits the Pathfinder's antenna, bypassed the reboot loop, and flipped a single microscopic software flag from off to on. And just like that, the digital ghost was exorcised. The Pathfinder stabilized and went on to complete a massively successful mission. In the end, it wasn't a busted thruster, a shattered solar panel, or Martian dust storm that almost killed the Pathfinder. It was a single, overlooked rule in a background chore. It is a chilling reminder for software engineers everywhere that even the most flawless mathematical systems, built by the smartest minds on Earth, can completely collapse when two lines of code are to a single piece of silicon.